So good morning. Um, this morning's talk or this week's theme has been what can I do? I missed Sunday's conversation, but I was here yesterday for Linda's talk. So I thought I'd try to continue that theme a bit, but in my own way. So I'm going to start with a couple of definitions. Cruelty, callous indifference, pleasure in causing pain. Callous, insensitive, or cruel disregard for others. Power, the ability to do something or act in a particular way. The ability to influence others in the course of events. So, putting all this together, it's an obvious recipe for a lot of dukkha, a lot of suffering. Suffering by immigrants, by loss of retirement savings, by possible loss of health care, by lack of access to the Social Security bureaucracy, and so on. And I generally respond with, like many of you probably do, with anger and frustration and a sense of powerlessness and a lot of upset. So what what can I do? Well, first I'm going to avoid being consumed by this upset, by my anger and frustration. That's that's a rabbit hole I want to avoid. And so, I find ways to be creative. That seems to take me away from that. And of course, coming to meditation, I realize that I'm more than all this upset. I remember who I am. I think about how fortunate I am right now. I have a family, a home, steady pension. But more than that, who I am as a person, a meditator, a friend. I have a creative outlook, and I still have my curiosity and interest. But I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take care of my health. I'm going to exercise as I usually do. Take care of my mental well-being. Come to meditation and see that I'm not alone in all this. I'm taking care of my home, as I've mentioned before. We live in in an area with lots of brush, chaparral, and lots of fire danger. So I we're replacing the siding with a concrete fiber. Looks like a kind of like a fortress right now, but the siding is a concrete fiber, and the eaves are covered too with a concrete fiber. Um, Another thing is sati. A part of sati is developing a wide awareness of how we are supported in our living, but also being aware of the collective and individual dukkha around us. For example, I've been reading a, a, a small book on American history, and it points out the growth of freedoms and rights over time for more and more people. But there's also been this strain of cruel and illiberal side to American history, best epitomized by the era of slavery and what followed afterwards. And I'm aware that we're supported by a social system, at least for now, that provides food, shelter, and health care. But there are those who will or have lost access to at least some of their food, access to health care, access to housing, that minorities are or will be openly discriminated against, and that many have or will lose their jobs. And this applies not only to people living in this country, but elsewhere in the world. So that's a lot of difficulty for so many households. So what else can I do besides sati and taking care of myself? Well, I can stay connected, just talking with others, just meeting informally. But as I'm familiar with, I try to avoid getting into a, a complaint session. That doesn't seem to be very positive, at least from my experience. And for me, I'm connected with my climate action nonprofit. I volunteer for it. And for others, it could be something entirely different, maybe a walking group or a book club. Maybe some of you went to the Hands Off March last Saturday. I caught the trolley on Saturday morning. Usually it's pretty empty. It was packed. I mean, it was like if you've ever been on the tube in London at rush hour, I mean, there was no room, and everybody had their sign, and there was a real sense of um, togetherness as we all were traveling downtown for the march. And so we were brought together. There was connection. There was networking. I had, I had a sense of agency, whatever that uh, means in that moment. And it was quite a large march. And I'm sure in other places, Portland and other places, a lot of people came out. And it seemed like, as Linda was talking about, a stream of people going down Broadway and turning on Market Street. And in my own way, I'm working on another march. Our climate action group is organizing a climate march just after Earth Day. And, it takes all these little things, getting the word out, emailing these various organizations, trying to get them on board, that kind of thing. So that's one thing I do. And again, you may be doing other things to stay connected. One thing that I could do more of, I've done some, I call my elected representative. They have staffers who are just sitting there by the phone and they do nothing but take your message, especially if it's about a specific piece of legislation. They mark it down for and against, and that's what they do. So although I'm angry and frustrated and upset, I do not yet feel overwhelmed by all of this. And there are many simple things that can be done, like we're meeting here, like Linda described yesterday about her Tai Chi and meditation group meeting in a local park. So I feel like, as I thought about this morning, that these are some of the things that sort of help me and maybe you from being overwhelmed by all the dukkha that seems to be growing around us. So thank you for listening. I'm going to stop there. We'll go into meditation. And